Your partner has a weapon. They have never named it. They may not even know that they are using it. But every time a disagreement surfaces, every time you try to hold your ground, every time you need something that inconveniences them, they deploy it. And within minutes, you are the one apologizing. You are the one adjusting. You are the one backing down from a position you know was reasonable. Because somehow the emotional cost of holding it became unbearable. That's not communication, that's leverage, and it's running your entire relationship. And here is why this is so hard to confront. Emotional leverage doesn't look like manipulation, it doesn't look like control, it looks like hurt feelings. It looks like withdrawal. It looks like a partner who's just really sensitive or going through a hard time or not good with conflict. It wraps itself in vulnerability, real or performed, and uses that vulnerability as a shield against accountability and a weapon against your honor, your honesty. And you know the feeling. You walk into a conversation with a legitimate need, something needs to change, something isn't working. You have rehearsed the words, you have been reasonable, measured, fair, and within 90 seconds, the conversation has flipped. You are no longer discussing your need, you are managing their reaction to your need. Your issue has been swallowed whole by their emotional response. And by the time the dust settles, your need wasn't denied. It was something worse. It was made to feel selfish for existing. So today I'm going to dismantle this pattern completely, how emotional leverage operates, the psychology that powers it, and 5 forms it takes that you have been trained to accept as normal. So here's the core mechanic. Emotional leverage works by raising the emotional cost of disagreement to the point where surrender becomes cheaper than honesty. The leveraging partner doesn't need to yell. They don't need to threaten, they just need to make the experience of opposing them uncomfortable enough through tears, silence, guilt, withdrawal, or wounded victimhood that the other partner learns at a nervous system level that asserting themselves leads to punishment. Not obvious punishment, emotional punishment. The kind that has no fingerprints but leaves the deepest marks. And once that association is wired, assertion equals punishment. The leveraging partner never has to fight again because the other person fights themselves. They suppress their own needs before they even voice them. The leverage has been internalized and now it runs on autopilot. So let me tell you about a case. A man, 39, married 10 years, described his wife as emotionally deep, sensitive, caring, not controlling, not aggressive, not manipulative. At least not in any way he could point to. But every time he raised an issue, every single time the same sequence played out. He would say something like, I feel like we are not connecting lately. And I would like us to spend more time together without the phones. Reasonable, clear, non-aggressive. And her response without fail would be some version of emotional collapse, tears. So you are saying I'm a bad wife? Withdrawal, going silent for the rest of the evening, or the most sophisticated version nowadays, turning it back on him. Like, I'm dealing with so much right now, and instead of supporting me, you're adding more pressure. His issue was never addressed, not once, not in like 10 years. Because every time he raised it, the emotional cost was so high, the tears, the guilt, the days of coldness that followed, that he stopped raising things altogether. He described it perfectly. He said, I don't avoid conflict because I don't care. I avoid conflict because I can't afford the aftermath. And that word afford is the key to understanding emotional leverage. It turns every honest conversation into a transaction, and the price is always set by the person with the leverage. Your need costs their tears. Your boundary costs their silence. Your honesty costs their 3 days of emotional winter. And eventually you stop buying, not because you don't need things, because the price is designed to be unpayable. His wife wasn't calculating that's the part that makes it so resistant to confrontation. She genuinely experienced distress when challenged. Her tears were real. Her withdrawal was real. But the function of that distress, regardless of its authenticity, was to neutralize his voice. And the result was a marriage where one person had unlimited emotional expression and other one had none. So what's happening at the psychological level? Emotional leverage operates through a mechanism called contingent emotional punishment. It means that one partner or one partner's emotional response is unconsciously or sometimes consciously contingent on whether the other partner complies. Compliance produces warmth, affection, stability. Non-compliance produces distress, withdrawal, guilt, or hostility. So over time, this contingency trains the other partner's nervous system the same way any reward punishment system does. They learn which behaviors produce safety and which produce pain. And they adjust accordingly, not because they choose to, but because the limbic system optimized for survival. So this is operant conditioning applied to intimacy. See, it is devastatingly effective because it doesn't require intent. The leveraging partner doesn't need to plan it. Their emotional reactivity does the work for them. Every tear that follows a boundary teaches the other person boundaries cause pain. Every withdrawal that follows honesty teaches honesty causes abandonment. And every guilt response that follows a need teaches your needs are harmful. And here's the part that makes it nearly impossible to untangle without intervention. The leveraging partner often genuinely believes they are the more emotional, more vulnerable, more affected one in the relationship. They experience themselves as the sensitive one, not the powerful one. They have no idea that their sensitivity has become a governance system, that their pain has become policy, that the entire relationship has been organized around the avoidance of their discomfort, and the total expense is being paid by the other partner. The cruelest irony of emotional leverage is this: the person wielding it feels powerless, and the person crushed by it can't prove it's happening. Because how do you accuse someone of hurting you with their tears? See, how do you tell someone their pain is a weapon when the pain is real, by the way? So there are 5 forms of emotional leveraging operating in relationships right now. Sign number 1, tears are redirected. Tears that redirected. They don't cry because they are processing your words. They cry in a way that stops the conversation entirely. The tears arrive so quickly and so intensely that your issue gets abandoned in favor of comforting them. And once you are comforting, you have lost your position. You have been moved from plaintiff to caretaker in under 60 seconds. And the issue you raised, it dies on the table every time. This doesn't mean that all the tears are leverage, but tears that consistently appear at the same exact moment. Accountability is approaching. Those aren't grief, those are exists. It's a way of exiting. Sign number 2, silence that punishes. They don't yell, they just disappear. Emotionally and sometimes physically too. They go cold. They withdraw warmth, eye contact, physical presence, not for hours, for days even. And they never name what they are doing. If you ask them, they say, I'm fine. I just need space. But the silence isn't neutral, it's loaded. It carries a message. Look what your honesty did. And your nervous system receives that message perfectly. Next time, you think twice before speaking. The time after that, you don't speak at all. Mission accomplished, no words required. Sign number 3, guilt that reframes. You raise an issue about their behavior, and within minutes, you are the one feeling guilty. After everything I have done for this family, I'm trying my best, and it's never enough for you. You always focus on the negative. The original issue isn't just deflected, it's inverted. You walked in with a legitimate concern and walked out feeling like you are the problem. This is the most psychologically sophisticated form of leverage because it doesn't just protect the leveraging partner from accountability, it transfers the accountability to you. You don't just lose the argument, you absorb the blame for starting it. Sign number 4, victimhood that blocks. Every time you approach a difficult conversation, they position themselves as the one suffering more. Their stress is bigger, their burden is heavier, their pain is more valid. And the implicit message is, how dare you bring your needs to someone who's already drowning? This creates a permanent hierarchy of suffering where their experience always outranks yours. Your needs become secondary by default, not because they are less real, but because the person with the leverage has claimed the emotional high ground so consistently that challenging it feels cruel. And that's exactly how it's designed to feel. Sign number 5, conditional warmth. And this is the quietest and most corrosive form. When you comply, when you agree, when you don't push back, when you let it go, they are warm, affectionate, present, loving. But the moment you assert a boundary, express a need, or hold a position they don't like, the warmth vanishes, not explosively, gradually. Like a thermostat being turned down, and you learn at a level below language that love in this relationship is conditional on compliance. That warmth is a reward for silence, and that the version of them you love most only appears when you abandon yourself completely. So here it is what needs to be said directly. Emotional leverage is not a communication style, it's a control system. It doesn't matter whether it's conscious or unconscious. It doesn't matter whether the tears are real or the withdrawal is genuine. What matters is the function, and the function is always the same: to make honesty expensive and silence free. To create a dynamic where one person can feel everything and the other person can express nothing. And if you are the one who has been leveraged, I need you to understand something. Your silence isn't maturity. Your patience isn't strength. Your ability to absorb someone else's emotional reactions without ever prioritizing your own, that's not love. That's captivity with good lighting. And you have been in it so long, you have mistaken the cage for relationship. If this is your dynamic, the first step is the hardest one. You have to name it during a calm moment, not during a fight, not in the aftermath of an episode, during a neutral, stable moment. That I have noticed that every time I raise something, the conversation becomes about your reaction instead of my need. And I need us to find a way to hold both. That sentence doesn't attack, it doesn't accuse, but it draws a line in the sand. It says, I see the pattern and I'm no longer going to participate in it silently. So if your partner hears it, if something in them recognizes the truth of it and they are willing to sit with the discomfort of that recognition, there is a real work to be done, probably with a therapist. Because emotional leverage patterns are deep, often rooted in childhood attachment strategies, and almost impossible to dismantle without professional guidance. But if your partner hears it and responds with the very leverage you just named, tears, guilt, withdrawal, victimhood, then the pattern has just confirmed itself in real time. And you have your answer. Not about whether they love you, but about whether this relationship has room for your voice. See, your needs are not aggressive, your boundaries are not attacks, your honesty is not cruelty, and any relationship that makes you believe otherwise isn't protecting you, it's silencing you. The right relationship doesn't punish you for having a voice, it makes room for it. Even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, especially then, by the way. If yours doesn't, the leverage was never love, and the silence was never peace. It was the sound of someone disappearing, and that someone is you. I'll see you in the next video.